Welcome back to the Roles in Pharma series on Help Me GMP. In this video, we're giving you a clear and practical look at what the head of production does. If you've ever wondered what it takes to lead in a sterile manufacturing setting, where compliance, output, and safety all need to align, this is the video for you. Sterile medicines aren't just clean, they're critical. From chemotherapy and antibiotics to supportive treatments, these products help hospitals care for patients safely and on time. The head of production leads the team that makes this all possible. So what does a typical day look like? The day often starts with a quick team meeting to review priorities and check on production performance. Then it's about keeping things moving, supporting batch progress, reviewing documents, speaking with quality colleagues about any issues, and making sure everything runs to plan. You'll also spend time looking ahead. Training, projects, and long-term planning all fall under your role. Here are some of the key areas a head of production manages. Clean room and contamination control. You make sure everything runs according to good manufacturing practice, Annex 1, and clean room standards, workflow and layout. You plan how people and materials move through the facility in a safe and compliant way. Team development. From hiring to training, you build the team's skills and culture. Oversight and planning. You don't just manage the day-to-day, you keep an eye on data, trends, and long-term goals. Equipment and maintenance. You work closely with the engineering team to make sure isolators and other equipment stay qualified and working. New product introduction. You help launch new medicines, including validation and process testing. Testing support. You work with quality control to plan sample testing and make sure results support batch release. Investigations. If something goes wrong, like an environmental alarm, you help find out why and fix it. Communication. You update other teams like pharmacy, quality, and senior leaders with the information they need. Regulatory readiness. You keep the site ready for inspections and ahead of changes in the rules. Things go wrong in pharmaceutical manufacturing. It's just reality. The difference is how you handle it. As head of production, people look to you. Stay calm, make clear decisions, and keep the team confident. That kind of leadership builds trust and gets results. You might hear people talk about production versus quality, but that's the wrong mindset. These teams should work together. Shared goals, clear roles, and trust between departments lead to smoother operations and better outcomes for patients. It's not a competition, it's a partnership. Culture starts with the leader. You set the tone by coaching your team, including them in audits, and building confidence. When people feel trusted and supported, safety and compliance follow naturally. Not because they have to, but because they want to. To measure success, you track things like right first-time documentation, on-time in full delivery, clean room environmental data. These numbers show how the system is working and where you can improve. Even small changes make a big difference. Swapping paper logs for digital, updating workflows, or improving a transfer step can all add up. One change might save a minute per batch. Multiplied over the year, that's real impact. To succeed as head of production, you need to apply good manufacturing practice in real-world decisions, stay calm and lead under pressure, build a strong team culture, work hand-in-hand with quality teams, think across the whole system, not just today's tasks, but future needs too. There's more than one path into this role. Some come from operations, others from pharmacy or quality. But the best leaders are curious, committed, and team-oriented. Leadership isn't just a skill, it's a mindset. If this video helped you understand the head of production role, click like, subscribe, and share your questions in the comments. And if you're curious about qualified persons, check out our QP video as well. Thanks for watching Help Me GMP.
Hey, and welcome back to Help Me GMP. This is part 4 of our interview series, and today we're talking about the tricky ones. So those situational questions, you know, the ones that start with, tell me about a time when. Now I know what you might be thinking. I've never worked in pharma, so how do I answer that? Well, don't worry, you don't need years of experience to give a strong answer. I've sat through more interviews than I can count, and honestly, some of the best responses that I've ever heard came from everyday roles such as retail, hospitality, care, volunteering, They're not GMP environments. Because what really matters is how you think, how you act, and how you learn. So today I'll show you how to structure your answers using those real-world experiences. And we'll go through 3 practical examples that work brilliantly for entry-level GDP or GMP roles. So we don't say this in the interviews, but behind the scenes we're using the STAR method as well. That means setting the scene, describing your task, explaining what you did, and what happened next. So without further ado, let's get straight into those model answers. So question 1. Tell me about a time when you have kept something organised in a busy environment. Well, in my previous job, I worked on the delivery team at a large supermarket. We received daily stock deliveries and sometimes up to 20 cages a day and had limited backroom space. If that space wasn't managed properly, it could lead to delays, safety risks or stock going out of date. So one weekend, our main delivery arrived several hours late due to a depot issue. There was only 2 of us on the shift and the store was already getting busy. I paused for a moment and I suggested we reorganise the cages by category: chilled, frozen and ambient. That way we could deal with the temperature sensitive stock first and reduce time lost rummaging through mixed pallets. I also checked expiry dates as we worked and flagged anything short dated to the duty manager. We cleared the backlog within a couple of hours, avoided waste and kept the aisles clear for customers. The store manager used our photos in the next day's team brief to show what good actually looked like. That shift really taught me that when things feel hectic, you don't have to rush in. You just get organised, communicate and stay focused. And that's exactly the kind of mindset I bring to a GDP or GMP regulated space. So let's move on to question 2. Tell me about a time you have had to follow a strict process. So, example is, when I worked in a cafe, one of our most important responsibilities was managing allergen requests. Orders with allergens had to be flagged at the till, communicated to the kitchen, and then prepared using a separate set of utensils and services. So one day, a customer told me that they had a nut allergy when ordering a cake, but when I looked at the kitchen ticket, the allergen flag wasn't there. I didn't assume that someone else had caught it. I paused the order and went straight to the chef. We cancelled the original dish, cleaned down the area and remade it using the correct process. After service, I brought it up in the team meeting and we agreed to add an extra verbal allergen check before anything left the kitchen. That moment really hit home for me. Processes aren't there just to tick boxes, they're there to keep people safe. And that's the kind of mindset, following procedures carefully and always checking, is something that I would look to do and carry into this GMP role. And last but not least, question 3. Tell me about a time you have spotted a mistake and corrected it. So the answer would be, I used to volunteer at a local charity shop and part of my job was sorting donations and pricing items using a reference guide. One shift, I noticed that a winter coat from a well-known brand had been labelled for £5. I remembered seeing that brand in our guide list closer to about £40. So rather than just charging the price, I flagged it up with the manager. We checked it together, corrected the label, and left a note in the pricing log so others wouldn't miss it in the future. The coat sold the next day at full value and the manager thanked me for being proactive. I also suggested that we create a simple quick checklist near the till for common brands, to make it easier for other volunteers to spot high value items. This experience showed me that small errors can have big impact. But if you're paying attention and willing to speak up, you can protect the whole process. So to wrap it up, situational questions aren't just about what happened. They're about how you think, how you act, and how you learn from it. And here's the key thing. You don't need GMP experience to show that mindset. Everyday challenges, if you handle them with care, structure and reflection, can show interviewers that you already have the qualities they're looking for GMP entry roles. So in those GDP warehousing and GMP production floor roles, employers want people who are accountable, detail focused, calm under pressure and committed to doing the right thing every time. So if you're preparing for an interview, don't sell yourself short. Bring your stories and prove you're ready to step into a regulated environment. Thanks again for watching Help Me GMP. And this was part 4 of our interview tips and model answers series. If you haven't already watched part 1s through 3 yet, check them out. Hopefully they help. And keep an eye out for part 5 where we'll focus on documentation and quality based roles. Finally, if this helped you, please like the video, hit subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you soon in the next video.
Hi, I'm Charlie, and together with Adam and Kyle, we're the team behind Help Me GMP. Our mission is straightforward: to give you clear, free training on GMP, GDP, and all things compliance. No fluff, no jargon, just real knowledge you can put to work in the pharmaceutical world. Today we are unpacking the Site Master File, normally shortened to SMF. Think of it as the front door to your quality system. Inspectors usually read it before they even come to site. It helps them decide which doors to open when they arrive. So if you get the SMF right, you start the visit on the front foot. The European Union provides explanatory notes on the preparation of the SMF in Volume 4, Part 3 of the GMP Guidelines. This is aligned with the World Health Organization's template, contained in TRS 961, Annex 14. The guidance is clear. Every authorized manufacturing or testing site must maintain a single, controlled SMF that is factual and up to date. A quick note on size. Regulators suggest 25 to 30 pages, plus appendices for maps or flowcharts. Anything longer, and the document becomes cumbersome and frustrating to read for an inspector. If your site manufactures, packs, tests, labels, releases, or stores medicinal product or active substance that eventually reaches patients, you need an SMF. That includes sterile, non-sterile, radiopharma, biologicals, ATMPs, you name it. Contract labs and repackagers need one too, scoped to the activity they perform. Start with the legal entity name, exact address, and contact details for management and quality. Add your manufacturing authorizations, GMP certificates, and licensing history. A concise site map or aerial photo is useful here, so inspectors can orient themselves quickly. Outline the organizational chart down to department head level. Show reporting lines for quality assurance, production, QC, engineering and warehouse. Include total headcount, shift structure, and a paragraph on the experience profile of key individual, for example, qualified person or responsible person. Explain how your QMS is built. List the main SOP tiers, change control, deviation management, CARPA, and annual product quality review. Mention which electronic systems you use and reference their validation. Here the inspector wants proof that the building and critical utilities are designed for GMP. Provide a schematic of HVAC zoning, a high-level isolator or cleanroom layout, plus brief notes on critical equipment like autoclaves, filling lines, lyophilizer, and environmental monitoring system. Keep the details high level. The quality system and equipment records hold the granular data. Summarize how SOPs are authored, approved, distributed, and archived. State whether you use electronic signatures and how you manage backups. Explain your record retention, archive and destruction policy by document type. Describe product families made on site and the scale of operations. For example, vial filling, oral solid dose, semi-solids. Give annual batch output or capacity ranges rather than commercial secrets. Include high-level flowcharts showing the product path from raw material receipt to distribution of finished product. List in-house analytical capabilities like HPLC, GC, endotoxin and sterility testing, and which tests are sent to contract labs. Note reference standard management, out-of-spec investigation flow, and data integrity safeguards such as user-based access to chromatography data systems. If another company performs any step on your license, name them, list the activity, and reference the technical agreement. State how you audit and oversee them. Outline storage conditions, cold chain controls, GDP transport partners, and your recall decision tree. Keep it short but specific. Timeframe to start a recall, cross-functional recall committee membership, and up-to-date contact details for the relevant regulatory agencies should a recall be required. Close with how you monitor your own compliance. Mention internal audit frequency, how audit findings feed into CARPA, and how you use quality risk management principles, referencing ICHQ9. Here's a few common own goals regarding site master files. Out-of-date utility diagrams after an engineering change. Job titles that no longer match the organizational structure. A gap between the SMF statement and the validated scope of electronic systems. Copy-pasted text from a corporate template that does not reflect local practice. Set a hard calendar event to review the SMF every 12 months and include consideration of the impact of change within your change control procedure. Use a document history table to list version, effective date, and a short summary of changes between versions. Provide hyperlinks to underpinning SOPs in the electronic version so you are never chasing paper on inspection day. For large sites, consider using separate appendices to make updates easier to implement without the need to review and approve a new version of the entire document. Your site master file is not just an inspector courtesy, it is a living portrait of your quality culture. Keep it concise, keep it honest. Don't wait for the request from a regulator to update it. If you found this walkthrough useful, hit subscribe, share it with a colleague, and drop your SMF questions below. See you in the next video.